All right, I'm trying this again. Hopefully the sound comes out. But yeah, so my 2019 wedding season's over. And I'm thrilled, pleased as punch, etc. But yeah, Saturday's wedding was awesome. And I'm not going to lie in the fact that I was ever so slightly scared about Iowa. I've had some bad experiences in Iowa, mainly one wedding, and it was when I was working for a company. But yeah, that was a little rough. When you go outside for a cigarette break at a wedding after the air conditioning in the venue had broken down and it was about 100 degrees outside, I went outside to have a cigarette, and every truck out there had shotgun racks and shotguns in it. And I'm like, oh shoot. Needless to say, it was one scary thing because I'm a city boy. I'm from Chicago. Guns like that, yeah, plus the excessive amount of alcohol that was consumed that night. That venue told me to stop DJing at 11 o'clock that night, actually, because they ran out of beer. And anyone who was a minor had kind of gotten thrown out of the reception that night for drinking underage. Yeah. So my season ended on Saturday, midnight-ish or so. Got back to La Crosse. No, I don't even remember what time we got back to La Crosse. But we got back to La Crosse super late. And, yep, there's Daisy sleeping right now. She was wound up. But, yeah, so I was pretty stoked about it, knowing that I got a month or so to recover, get my computer rearranged again with new wedding music, and update some of the tracks and files I have on there for what I got coming up. And plus, as with all DJs, sometimes your sets do get stale. And I'm not going to lie, I do feel that by the end of this wedding season, maybe my wedding set had gotten a little stale. I mean, I'd like to think I add new tracks to my wedding sets every time I DJ. But you have your go-to top 200 tracks that you kind of always play. And so I keep switching that file and adding to it. So hopefully over the winter when I look at new charts and wedding charts from out of the area, different markets, to get some fresh ideas, I can add new tracks in. Like when I look at charts, I look at charts across the board. I will research all the wedding tracks from different markets, from like New York to the cities to Austin, Texas to the West Coast. It just gives you an idea if you're on the right track, or maybe something that's new and refreshing you can add to your set. It's always a nice touch to be able to offer something a little bit different and a little nicer. It's all in the same thing what I do at my club dates. I'm always trying to add new tracks. And Cassandra, who drives the DJ Mobile around, her and I talk about it a lot, and I do listen to my sets almost every time I record them. The reason being, I want to see, one, how bad my set was, or how good it was, and know what tracks may or may not have worked. I also always keep my playlists, and I go back and look at those. And for example, and just to keep an idea of what's always working and what's not. So I can improve my mixing, what songs I'm offering, ideas in my sets, the whole 9 yards. Because every time whenever you practice, whenever you go to a club, it makes you have to work, and not saying to make my job easier, but to make everything better every time I go behind my deck. And something I've always lived by, if you can't be better, don't fall backwards. So I try to be better with the DJ thing every time I go out there. But yeah, that's so my wedding season ends, and this Wednesday we start the Pubs and Club Crawl, is what I'm going to call it this year. Pubs and Clubs 2019. I'm off for 5 weeks from weddings. So there's going to be some alcohol consumed. I've maintained my sobriety. I think I've had 4 or 5 drinks and may have been buzzed once the entirety of the year since about mid-April when wedding season was approaching. And I put that into it this year very conscientiously, that I wasn't going to party, I wasn't going to drink, and I was going to be better than I was in 2018 to 2019 behind my deck and what I offered at weddings. I hope it worked. I'd like to think it worked. It was a much better, more fun year, and I learned a lot more this year, being a lot more receptive and paying attention more to what I was doing, both when couples send me their playlists, but what songs truly do work and how far out you can push what songs you're playing, how far you can veer from the top 200 or 300 wedding tracks in the world or in the nation. And yeah, I brought some songs into the weddings, some new hits in there that I didn't think were great songs, didn't think necessarily would work, but when they started, I realized they did. I'm like, that belongs in my wedding set too. But yeah, so that's the end of the wedding season for this year. I start on January 11th here in La Crosse. But today, I'm not slowing down. I'm going to keep pushing forward and busting my butt in the off season, but also this is club season. And that's the time when I get to play the music I kind of like to listen to. And if you listen to my sets, they're very I'm not like the EDM type DJ in the area. I definitely look for a little bit more of a smoother sound, and that's probably because I grew up in Chicago in the 80s and 90s, disco era Chicago house. And you'll even see it in my sets today, that when I go to throwbacks, for example, Ralphie Rosario remixes. I love using his stuff. And you'll see things like that in my sets, but the overall sound I'm going for is a very smooth sound. No big EDM drops, no big jumps. And so that's kind of what I started looking for in my weddings as well, and doing in my weddings. But yeah, so that's my time of year where I can get out there and have a little fun, and also see what tracks I can bring into weddings and other places over the winter, and learn a little bit more about what's popping in the clubs. Now, so when we get started today, I've got some updates to do on my Facebook page. I'm going to be uploading all of my sets from the weekend because I'm pretty happy with them. I've got some now email notes. That's something I do, and I've embraced the modern era for a lot of reasons. In my email, you will see that I keep notes or email myself notes. Places I want to DJ at, perhaps, notes I've seen, ideas I've had. And oftentimes, I don't always have a notepad with me like this one right here. So I will email myself notes. I will also take screenshots of things I need to work on or ideas I have, and take those pictures, put them on my desktop, and then go through that later on as well. Now, a special I'm going to be offering, because I don't have any Saturdays left for 2020. I'm done. I've decided that even though I have 2 possible dates, outside of those 2 dates, I don't have any other Saturdays I can book for a wedding. I need some time to myself occasionally. And Cassandra, again, who pilots the DJ Mobile 3.0, is like, dude, you're going to kill yourself. Well, then again, my dad worked literally until the night before he died. I do not joke. I do not lie. I went to work, and so people, my dad passed away on 27th of April, 1997, or 96, I'm sorry. And, yep, I was late to work that night to relieve him at his bar. Yours truly showed up to work about an hour and a half late because yours truly had been on a few-day-long bender, and decided that it was a great idea to sleep in Friday. I show up to the bar. My dad is super pissed off. I don't blame him. So I gave him the car keys, and that night, I finished up my bar shift, and I really didn't get hammered that night. I was still recovering. I think I probably spent a few breaks in the bathroom tossing my guts that night. But went home, gave him the bar's ring for the night, said goodnight. He said goodnight. And that was the last words I ever spoke to my dad. Yeah. But anyway, he worked till the day he died. He worked his ass off. And so, yeah, it might be my wedding season's ended, but there's a lot of work to do on the back end of it. So, I'm also offering a special. I've decided that Sundays, I don't have Mira every Sunday in the summer. And that's kind of nice. It gives me the opportunity to pick up a couple of extra dates of booking and make a few extra bucks. Or it gives me time just to sit, chill, clean my house, which is, I'm pretty OCD, if you can't tell. Even down to my pictures. Yes, I'm OCD because I'm missing one there, but I haven't figured out what picture I want to put there. But my house is pretty neat in general. I'm not a slob. I'm almost OCD about it. My shoes are out of place, but I know I'm going to have to take that one out for her morning constitutional in a little bit. But it's amazing that she's actually just chilling and sleeping. I love that dog. Then here's Mira's dog. Or Sarah's dog, my ex, that I inherited. And then there's Mira's cat. But yeah, I'm pretty OCD about how clean, neat, and orderly I keep my house. Not gonna lie. So then from there, I got to work on posters. Promo for this week, I've already got mapped out. One is promo for Dublin Square. It's my first night in the pub there. Second night there, starting my residency. Then Tavern 129 on Black Friday. And City Sounds in Prairie du Chien on Saturday. Then, car. My D 3.0 needs a little work. I got to get a door fixed. I've also got to get my car winterized and rotate my tires. With winter coming up, I might as well get it done early rather than late so nothing happens. Now, rest of the week I've got going on my client work. I've got to prep my lights for this weekend because being in a smaller room, I'm going for the biggest bang for my buck with my lighting rig. Then, of course, I have to work on my ugly sweater promo, contacting the venues I'm DJing at, and making sure I have the right drink specials for the night. Then something I've been wanting to do is upload the rest of my videos from this year. A few people have asked me about taking videos, the whole 9 yards, at weddings and clubs. So over the last couple of months, I've really honed in and tried to get clips here and there. Obviously, this last Friday night at Dooley's was totally worth it, as was the train during 500 miles at the wedding Saturday. I videotaped little bits and pieces. I don't want to be too intrusive at weddings because it's something that's more intimate and more heartfelt maybe, but I will take a couple pictures, and a lot of brides and grooms, as well as their families, have been appreciative because I get a specific point of view that no one else gets the entire dance, which is from behind the booth, which is generally unobstructed and a very clear view of the dance floor and what's going on. And I like to share those with the couples as well as, hey, the people that are looking, this is what I did this weekend. I hope everybody enjoys. And that's my biggest thing about, with the DJ and the club season. Yeah, it's fun for me, but I'm being an entertainer, so to speak. Being, be it from music, be it from DJing, or whatever. I want everyone to have a good time. And that's my biggest objective over the next 5 weeks. I'm calling it Pubs and Clubs, but essentially it's going to be 5 weeks of you, me, my friends, and anybody who wants to dance and have a good time partying at each individual place. With some ugly sweater party thrown in there, and looking forward to 2020 with my wedding season starting early, but not as heavily until April comes around. Yes, club season is going to last a little longer, but in order to keep myself in check better, because I know I come from a family of alcoholics, I've decided that, I'm going to take some weddings every month, and partially it helps pay the bills. No joke. But it keeps me in check and keeps me kind of tuned in on what I'm doing in the wedding aspect of it. Because I won't lie, when I took my first wedding of the year for this year, I felt a little cold. I felt a little out of sorts because I'd been doing clubs and bars for 4 months straight. No, 5 months straight. Wow. And yeah, I need to kind of change pace a little bit. And plus here, I'm going to be 47 in a couple months. Things change, and the focus of everything I'm doing is changing a little bit, where I want to refine the DJ Brett Lee experience, and part of that is clubs, but more only certain specific types of music at when I'm DJing. So everything fits across the board. I mean, yes, I do play some country songs. I do tend to play, some rock, but I stock my computer differently event to event. And with that in mind, I'm trying to do something that's similar across the board. So when booking, I've been looking specifically for only clubs, college bars, and stuff where it's more fun, a younger demographic, a party demographic. And for 2020, I'm going with it. Even though I might be close to 50, I've been told I'm a young soul, and honestly, I don't think I'll ever grow up. I mean, part of me has to. I'm a parent. But at the same time, it's fun being, fun having a lot of people around you partying and being a part of a party, if you get my drift. So, I'm going to get to the DJ work this week, and I promise this week at some point I will have time to bring people live, and show you what I'm thinking. I've been asked to mentor a couple of DJs, and a couple people have asked me to work with them about how I DJ, what I look for. So I'm going to start bringing you in as soon as I can, and just a little bit of background on my DJing and what I think up here when I'm mixing. A lot goes into it. And that's something maybe, like, if you ever look at my playlists, you'll see there's some thought that goes into it. And I'll get into that later. But it's Monday and I got work to do because wedding season is over. I got to prep for Pubs and Clubs 2019 and the 2020 wedding season. So I'm going to sign off for a while. I hope everybody has a great Monday. Yeah. Enjoy, everybody. Thanks.